Seeing and hearing no other senator that wishes to be heard, debate is closed, and Secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section.
Section 12 of the statute take effect immediately.
Secretary will call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Some order in the House, please. Senator Montgomery to explain her vote.
President, whereas the New York State legislature and New York State already spends funds on health and mental health services for private and parochial schools, on welfare social services, on food services, on textbook and transportation aid, and whereas this bill will cost the state of New York $675 million in education funding over the next 3 years, I am voting no on this legislation.
Senator Montgomery to be recorded in the negative. Senator Hoylman to explain his vote.
I'll be voting no. I think it's wrong to give some of the wealthiest New Yorkers almost a dollar for dollar tax credit, up to 90% of their $1 million contribution, not just to religious schools, which many of us understand and sympathize are struggling, but to some of the wealthiest, most elite schools in the state of New York, the Brearleys, the Trinities, the Horace Manns. That's not right. I'll be voting against it, Mr. President, also because there is a deficit that the state of New York owes the New York public school system to the tune of $4 billion that is still owed from the Campaign for Fiscal Equity lawsuit. So for those reasons, I'll be voting no. Thank you.
Senator Hoylman to be recorded in the negative. Senator Sanders to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I welcome back to everyone who I haven't said welcome back to. I wish that this bill were not one of the first to come out the gate. I wish that we had gone through committee process so that we could speak about it. I wish that we could work with some type of collaboration to figure out how do we do these things if we are to do them. I am concerned, however, about the amount of money that is owed to schools under laws that we are supposed to be paying, and yet we are not paying. I believe the figure is $4 billion and growing. Under those conditions, before we can start speaking about taking away more money out of the kitty, we need to speak about paying what we owe. So if there had been more collaboration, perhaps I could have gotten to the place, but there wasn't, so I must vote no on this one. Thank you.
Senator Sanders to be recorded in the negative. Senator Stavisky to explain her vote.
Mr. President, I will vote no on this bill because I think it has very significant constitutional issues, particularly as it involves Article 10 or Article 11, Section 3, the prohibition on using aid directly or indirectly for non-public schools. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Stavisky to be recorded in the negative. Senator Pantapinto to explain his vote.
I'm also voting no on this bill. This bill does not create access for low-income children in New York State. It's simply a tax break for the rich, and it takes $100 million out of education, which we can't afford to do. So I'm voting no.
Senator Pantapinto to be recorded in the negative. Senator Golden to explain his vote. Senator Golden to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank my colleagues for voting yes on this bill. This is an important bill, and to make some corrections, this bill is a bill that is split evenly down the middle, 50% towards public schools and 50% towards private and parochial schools. And I can't, in my district, I know I hear it all the time, about arts programs, music programs, stuff that's being cut back in our public schools. This would help to bring more additional dollars to our public school system and to our parochial system. When the parochial system closes down, where do those kids go? They go into the public school system. And we have a continuous overcrowded condition, and we are only impacting our communities by not allowing for tax dollars to flow in here, but the tax dollars are flowing in here at both the public level and the private level, and they are the taxpayer giving a tax credit for the money that they've paid in for their corporation or as individuals. So I think this is a good tax credit that works. There are constitutional, I dare to say that the constitutional issues here that are being raised have not been given to. I'd love to see them, and we'd love to discuss them in the future to my Senator Kruger and to others that may see constitutional issues with this bill. And as Senator Kruger has pointed out, this bill, she will see it before the end of the year, and I'm sure we will have discussions with the Assembly and with the Governor as we move along through the course of this year to make sure we get the right bill, giving the right dollars to our tax-paying families across this great city and state, from Brooklyn to Buffalo. It's the right thing to do. We spend $22 billion today in education, almost $20,000 a child, and guess what? I still hear of all these programs being closed in our schools. We need more money. We need to direct more money. We need to direct more money into not only our public, but into our parochials and privates as well. Thank you. I will be voting yes.
Senator Golden, to be recorded in the affirmative, announce the results.
In relation to calendar number 5, votes recorded in the negative are Senators Breslin, Comrie, Espaillat, Gianaris, Hoylman, Kruger, Montgomery, Penapinto, Peralta, Perkins, Rivera, Sanders, Serrano, Squadron, and Stavisky. Ayes 47, nays 15.
Bill is passed. Senator DeFrancisco.
Would you now call up supplemental calendar number 8, Senate Bill 6377?
The Secretary will call from the Rules Report, calendar number 8, by Senator Flanagan.
Calendar number 8 by Senators Flanagan, Senate Print 6377, enact amend the education law.
Laid aside. Senator DeFrancisco.
We're going to take that up right now.
Secretary will ring the bell, and the Secretary will read.
Calendar number 8 by Senator Flanagan, Senate Print 6377, enact amend the education law.
Senator Kruger.
How are you, Mr. President?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. So, this bill, one could argue, yes, we want money for education. We want more money for education. I think probably every member of the Senate would agree on that. The dilemma I have with this bill is by pulling out one section of public education funding and saying in a freestanding bill outside the parameters of the budget, we're going to commit $440 million to filling the gap elimination adjustment remaining cuts that we had to do in earlier years. What it means if we do it as a freestanding bill is we've taken the $440 million off the table of the entire question of education funding, which we will need to deal with very soon in the budget process. Now, why should we care if we do GEA, but perhaps then don't have as much money for the other education funding formulas, particularly the foundation aid, which is the largest portion of education aid? Here's why. If you take that $440 million for GEA and you apply it where GEA funds go, you're funding 23% that's owed to high needs districts versus the foundation aid. We still are $4.4 billion short. Is that right? $4.4 billion? $4.4 billion short, where 77% of what they don't get is needed by the high needs district. So that means, just an example or two, in Kathy Young's district, her schools are owed 19 times the foundation aid that they're owed GEA money. But if we make our decision independently to put the money into GEA, we'll potentially have less for Kathy Young's districts that have a 19 times hole in their budgets from foundation aid. In Senator Larkin's district, it's a 15 times hole. So making the decision now in a vacuum, so to speak, to just put money back in one of the education funding formulas means we don't have the money within the budget context to evaluate where the whole set of educational funding should go. And it does matter as far as which districts get which money. So you have winners and losers, and I fear that putting GEA separate and in front of and done before the rest of the education funding formulas will disproportionately hurt those districts in many of your areas that are the most in need. So I do think this is putting the cart before the horse, or the chicken before the egg, or however you want to say it, but that doing this as a freestanding bill limits our ability to address the much bigger issues we have in education funding formulas, which we're not ignoring. We're going to get to in the budget process. Probably the bell starts on Wednesday to deal with that issue. So I would urge my colleagues to leave ourselves the room to do the right thing for education in an across-the-board way through the entire education budget, not tie our own hands by saying, no, this $440 million must be spent this way now. And to be honest, if you look at the big picture, going back to the previous bill, if we take $300 million for education tax credits as are being proposed in the bill that did just pass this House despite my opposition, that's another $300 million we won't have for GEA or the foundation aid. So again, looking at these questions piecemeal doesn't really allow us to make the best right decisions for the entire population of school children and school districts in New York State. It's not really the way we should do it, and I'm going to vote no. Thank you, Mr. President.
Seeing and hearing no other senator that wishes. Marcelino?
Yeah, could I explain my vote?
Yeah, would you want to explain your vote? Then we
Yes.
can. Okay, I would ask then, hearing and seeing no other senator that wishes to be heard, debate would be closed. The secretary would ring the bell. Secretary will read.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Senator Marcelino to explain his vote.
I thank you very much for that. I thank my colleagues. I know you were expecting to see a tall, dark, and handsome, good-looking guy stand up and defend this bill. You're going to have to settle for me. It would have been nice to hear Senator Krueger speak the way she spoke this evening some years ago when this bill was passed, when the GEA was first passed. There was no thought given to the fact that we'd have to pay it back someday. There was no worry about going to low-needs district versus high-needs districts. It was just we needed to fill a $10 billion deficit gap that was created when they were in power, when they were in the majority, with a Democrat governor. It was interesting. We have NYSED memoing in support of this legislation. This bill has restored money over the last 6 years to the high-needs districts, to the effect of the New York City school districts. 90% has been restored to them. To the low-needs districts, in other words, the wealthier districts, only 58.9% has been restored to them. So to say that all the money is going to districts that don't need it simply isn't the case. It simply isn't the case. The money has been going where it's supposed to be going. And we're going to eliminate this travesty which never should have been perpetrated on our schools to begin with this year. And we can do this bill to set the tone, and then we'll do the budget the way we have to. We see no reason why we can't do both. And it's important that we do both. This one sets the tone. This one tells the school districts, we mean business. We're not just talking up a storm here. We're saying we want to get rid of the GEA because it should never have been enforced in the first place, and we're going to do that. That is our statement. Senator Flanagan said it on the floor the other day. There'll be no budget without the elimination of the GEA. That's his pledge, and we're going to stick to that. So I would respectfully consider that we look at the real facts instead of making up a story. The story simply is that the money has been going back to those districts that require it effectively and efficiently, and not just to those that don't. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I vote aye.
Senator Marcelino will be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results. Wait, Senator Serino to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. While GEA might not be a buzzword, the bottom line is this. It's bad for our schools, it's bad for our taxpayers, and most importantly, it puts our local students at a real disadvantage. Since taking office, I've heard from countless residents who were absolutely appalled when they learned just how negatively schools in our community have been impacted by the devastating cut in aid. While I believe wholeheartedly that our state as a whole needs to tighten our belt and cap state spending, taking dollars away from our schools and our children to fill budget gaps is absolutely irresponsible. Last year, myself and many of my colleagues made a promise to work tirelessly to eliminate the GEA, and as a result, in the state budget, we succeeded in restoring almost 60% of it. Today, once again, we are going beyond rhetoric to make the promise of eliminating the GEA a reality. As the budget process gets underway, I thank my colleagues for continuing to make this issue a priority, and I urge my colleagues in the Assembly to do the same. Our kids cannot afford to wait. Thank you.
Senator Serino to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar number 8, those recorded in the negative are Senators Comrie, Hassel-Thompson, Montgomery, Parker, and Rivera. In relation to calendar number 8, those recorded in the negative are Senators Comrie, Hassel-Thompson, Hoylman, Kruger, Montgomery, Parker, Perkins, Rivera, and Sanders. Ayes 53, nays 9.
The bill is passed. Senator DeFrancisco.
Before we go on to the next bill, I just want to clarify something. The individual who Senator Marcelino described, as far as people thought they were going to speak, I just want you to know I was not going to be speaking on that bill. Next bill, calendar number 16.
Secretary will read calendar number 16 by Senator Lavelle.
Calendar number 16 by Senator Lavelle, Senate Print 6385, enactment of the real property tax law.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 62.
The bill is passed. Senator DeFrancisco.
Calendar number 17, Carlucci.
Senator Carlucci's bill, calendar number 17, the Secretary will read.
Calendar number 17 by Senator Carlucci, Senate Print 6386, enactment Chapter 584 of the laws of 2015.
Read the last section.
Section 4, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 62.
The bill is passed. Senator DeFrancisco.
Call up calendar 19, the Lanza bill.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 19 by Senator Lanza, Senate Print 6388, enactment of general city law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 62.
The bill is passed. Senator DeFrancisco.
Please call up calendar 31, Senator Croce.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 31 by Senator Croce, Senate Print 6420, enactment of the executive law.
Last section.
Section 2, the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 62.
The bill is passed. Senator DeFrancisco.
Please call up calendar number 35, Senator Bonasic.
Secretary will read calendar number 35.
Calendar number 35 by Senator Bonasic, Senate Print 6424, Enact amend Chapter 510 of the laws of 2013.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Lastly, calendar 37, Senator Serrano.
Calendar number 37 by Senator Serrano. The secretary will read.
Calendar number 37 by Senator Serrano, Senate Print 6426. Enact amend Chapter 899 of the laws of 1984.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act should take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
We're going to deal with the rest of the calendar tomorrow or sometime in the future.
The remainder of the calendar will be laid aside.
Would you please recognize Senator Gianaris?
Chair recognizes Senator Gianaris.
Mr. President, on behalf of Leader Stewart Cousins, I hand up the following committee assignments.
Committee assignments are received and will be filed in the Journal. Senator DeFrancisco.
Is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business before the desk.
We're going to be here at 11 a.m.?
Some order in the House, please.
There be no further business. I move to adjourn till January 12th. That's tomorrow at 11 a.m.
On motion, the Senate will stand adjourned until Tuesday, January 12th, 11 a.m. Senate stands adjourned.